6 bodies retrieved from Gaza Strip, and German courts reject appeal of an old woman. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us on Providence Television International. My name is Edna Cesar Garrick. This is the World News. A German court has rejected an appeal by a 99-year-old woman who was convicted of being an accessory to more than 10,000 murders in her role as a secretary to the SS commander of the Nazis' Schufort concentration camp during World War II. The ruling today by the Federal Court of Justice in Leipzig is final. Limgard Fruncha is accused of being part of the apparatus that helped the camp near Danzig function. The judges are convicted that she deliberately supported the killing of 10,505 prisoners by gassing and hostile condition in the camp when she worked there from June 1st, 1948 to April 1st, 1945. A Milwaukee woman who argued she was immune from prosecution because the man she fatally shot was sexually trafficking her was sentenced on Monday to 11 years. Crystal Kiza, who earlier this year pleaded guilty to reckless homicide in the case, will also serve 5-year parole. Kenosha Country Court prosecutor said Kiza shot Randall Vola, 34, at his Kenosha, Wisconsin home in 2018 when she was 17 years old. Kiza shot Vola in the head, burnt his house down and stole his BMW. Reports say she initially was charged with multiple counts, including first-degree intentional homicide, arson, car theft, and being a felon in possession of a firearm. Kiza, who is black, argued she was trafficking by Vola, who was white, beginning when she was 16. Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled in 2022 a state law absolving trafficking victims of criminal liability for offenses committed as a direct result of being trafficked extends to first-degree intentional homicide. The court ruled Kiza's legal team should have the opportunity to present evidence at trial that the crime she was charged with have a direct result of the violence she experienced. The ruling allowed Kiza to argue she was justified in the killing, but it also said Kiza must first provide evidence for a trial judge her decision to kill Vola was connected to being trafficked before she could evoke immunity. Kiza maintains Vola's death was the result of self-defense, the bound fund said, but in May this year she pleaded guilty to a reduced count of reckless homicide, documents court state. Kiza, 17 at the time, put a gun in her book bag in June 2018 and traveled from Milwaukee to Vola's home in Kenosha after telling her boyfriend she was going to shoot him because she was tired of him touching her. The bodies of 6 hostages have been retrieved from the Gaza Strip. Israeli military has said 5 of their deaths has already been announced by Israel. Although Avara mother was thought to still be alive, the rescue operation was carried out by the IDF alongside the security agency in Shin Bet. The 6 men had all been kidnapped alive during Hamas attack on southern Israel on 7th October before being taken into Gaza, the Hostage Families Forum said. In a statement, it said the recovery of the bodies had provided the families with necessary closure, adding that the return of the remaining 109 hostages from Gaza can only be achieved through a negotiated deal. The group called on the Israel government to do everything in its power to finalize the deal currently on the table. Negotiations over a long sought after ceasefire and hostage release deal are ongoing, with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken currently in the Middle East pushing for an agreement. On Monday, Mr. Blinken said Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had agreed to a U.S. bridging proposal for a deal after the pair met in Tel Aviv. In response to the recovering of the bodies, Israeli President Isaac Herzog sent heartfelt condolences and warm embrace to the families. On Monday, 5 people were killed in an Israeli airstrike on an internet distribution facility in Western Khan Yunis. Israel launched a military campaign in Gaza in response to unprecedented attack on southern Israel on 7th October by Hamas gunmen, during which about 1,200 people were killed and 257 taken hostage. More than 40,173 people have been killed in Gaza since then, according to the territory's Hamas on Health Ministry. If you are just joining us, this is a world news on Providence Television International. India's top court has said the recent rape and murder of a trainee doctor in West Bengal state has shocked the conscience of the nation and criticized authorities for their handling of the investigation. A 31-year-old woman's body was found earlier this month in the seminar room of a state-run hospital in Kolkata, where she worked. A hospital volunteer worker has been arrested in connection with the crime, and Central Bureau of Investigation has now taken over the case. The crime has sparked huge protests in the country. On Tuesday, Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, who was hearing the case, ordered the setting up of a national task force to recommend safety protocols for healthcare professionals at workplaces. He listed out a range of problems plaguing medical institutions, including lack of resting rooms and toilets, functional CCTV cameras, security personnel, and adequate screening for arms at entrance. The court asked the task force, which could include top doctors and government officials, to look into the situation and file an interim report in 3 weeks and a final report in 2 weeks. During the hearing, the CJI also criticized the West Bengal government police force and questioned why there was a delay in registering the initial complaint, known as First Information Report, in the case. He added that he was deeply concerned that the names of the victim and their photograph were shared on social media. Indian law prohibits naming of a rape victim, and those guilty can be fined or sentenced up to 2 years in prison. The court has condemned the attack on GRK Medical College, the site of the crime, and questioned why adequate security measuring hadn't been put in place to control the violence. A manhunt is underway in Kenya after the escape of a national police cell. A man who confessed to murdering and dismembering 42 women. Collins Jumasi Kulusha, aged 33, broke out on Tuesday morning along with 12 undocumented Eritrean migrants. The breakout was discovered when officers made a routine visit to the police cell at 5 p.m. to serve the prisoners breakfast. Kalusha had appeared in the court in the Kenya capital on Friday when the magistrate ordered him to be held for 30 more days to enable police complete their investigation. Australia and Indonesia have finalized a new defense pact, cementing closer ties between the two countries. The detail of the defense agreement is believed to include provision for joint military drills, deployment of each country, and greater maritime cooperation in the disputed South China Sea. Prabowo Subianto, who will take office as Indonesia's next president in October, is currently on a 2-day visit to Australia. With that, we've come to the end of the world news. But before we go, a recap. We brought to the story which says Indian top court has said the recent rape and murder of a trainee doctor in West Bengal state has shocked the conscience of the nation and criticized authorities for their handling of the investigation. A 31-year-old woman's body was found earlier this month in the seminar room of a state-run hospital in Kolkata, where she worked. We also told you that the bodies of 6 hostages have been retrieved from the Gaza Strip. Israel's military has said 5 of their deaths had already been announced by Israel, though Avram mother was thought to still be alive. The rescue operation was carried out by the IDF alongside the security agency in Shinbeg. And also a Milwaukee woman who argued she was immune from prosecution because the man she fatally shot was sexually trafficking her, was sentenced on Monday to 11 years. Christo Kiza, who earlier this year pleaded guilty to reckless homicide in the case, will also serve 5-year parole. Kenosha Country Court prosecutor said Kiza shot Randall Vola, 34, at its Kenosha Wilkinson home in 2018 when she was 17 years old. That's our package. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon.